So my swim was okay. I was just, you know, we didn't get a chance to warm up really when we got in. We had to go right out to the start line, and I lined up way to the left. And, you know, classic start, everybody hammers right away. I got boxed in a little bit, so I was just trying to stay as relaxed as possible, not tighten up. You know, he caught a few elbows and everything, but got open water pretty quickly. I didn't swim great, but I swam well enough. I was swimming next to some guys, and I realized that I wasn't going past them, so I tried to tuck in behind them, and then I would come out around, see if I could get around them. I couldn't, so then I'd tuck in behind them again, and then I'd come out around again. I kind of played that game all the way, and at the end I just went past them a little bit. Came out of the water, and we had a different exit from the bike this year, so with all the rain and everything, I was just trying to be cautious on the wet roads as we were kind of turning through the park for the first 5 miles before we headed out into Lake Mead. Because that first 5 miles, you come out of the park and then you go through a no-pass zone, so it's really technical, and you know, I figured there's no reason to hammer through there. There were some guys that were hammering, and I was like, all right, just settle down, get into your own game, and then once we hit the open roads, then you would go, and that's what I did. Once we hit the open roads, I just, you know, started getting into my race, and one of the things that definitely helped me a lot this year, I talked to Chris about this, is I switched over to a 54 tooth front ring, and because last year I was spinning out a lot, and it really helped on the slight downhills, and definitely on the downhills. I was cranking on those this year. I felt really good, and I was passing a ton of people. And then just being cautious on the uphills, not the spikes. So I just, you know, stayed steady. Whenever I felt like I was pushing a little bit too hard, I backed it off. The bike went really well. My mantra was stay in front of it this year. You know, past 2 years here, I've kind of hit it a little bit too hard and gotten behind my nutrition and gotten behind on my fluids. This year I wanted to really stay in front of it, and obviously with the rain and the cooler weather, that made it easier as well. But at the same time, with rain and cooler weather, it's harder to navigate and everything. So whenever we hit uphills, that's when I would hit my nutrition and everything. I really wanted to make sure that I came off the bike having taken almost all of it, because I knew I would need those calories. And the salt as well. Even though it was a cooler day, I'm like, all right, if I get behind on sodium, I'm going to be paying the price. So, you know, it was by far my most consistent bike. I felt really solid. You know, could I have gone harder? Maybe, but I knew that it was all about, you know, coming off the bike, feeling good for the run, having a consistent bike, and I thought I did a good job of that. I hit the run. I felt really good. Again, when at the beginning of the run, I'm like, all right, don't go too hard, too fast. Settle in. Get yourself together, let the downhills get your cadence up, and that's how I felt. And then when I hit the uphill, I'm like, all right, it's all about staying steady, don't spike the heart rate, and I did a good job of that. And I was just really focusing on staying in the moment and like looking where I was on the course, so like not thinking too far ahead, just looking at like the next set of bushes. All right, run to those bushes, and then run to that person up there, and then, you know, once I got there, you know, run to the next person. I felt really good, but whenever I felt good, I wanted to go, but not go too hard, because I knew that I would go through some down moments as well. And so again, I'm always really trying to stay on top of everything. I actually didn't take any salt on the run because I had done a good job on the bike, but I did a really good job. I took an X2 Performance halfway through the bike. I took one at the beginning of the run, and then I took one halfway through the run. I didn't take all of it, but that definitely helped. And then I ran with nutrition as well. I ran with some UCAN, and I was every aid station I was going through, I was taking that, then grabbing water. And then at mile 9, I was still feeling really good, but I'm like, all right, again, stay in front of it. So I started grabbing the cola at that point, get the simple sugars down. That way I wanted to stay strong through the end. I didn't want to hit that point where I was already behind. So then back up the hill, staying steady, felt good. And then I was just like, all right, again, stay in the moment, hit the turnaround, and then started coming downhill, and I was just trying to open my stride up, let gravity take me down. But every aid station I was grabbing stuff. I really didn't want to miss anything. There was one point where I started to feel a little dehydrated, but then I grabbed a lot of fluids at the next aid station, because I have definitely gotten dehydrated this race. Again, it wasn't nearly as hot as it has been, especially last year, but it doesn't matter, because you can get fooled into complacency here, and so I was just trying to really be careful on all fronts. And I felt really good. There was one guy at the turnarounds He had a higher number. Sometimes they register late, and so I didn't know if he was in my age group or not. He looked like he was running really strong. And at the first turnaround, I'm like, oh shit, he's going to catch me. But I'm just like, all right, just stay steady. And then every turnaround, he wasn't making up any room on me. So I was like, all right, just run your own race. And I don't know if he was in my age group, but he didn't catch me. There was only one guy that passed me on the run. He passed me at the turnaround on the third loop, but he was in the 25 to 29 age group, so he was on his first loop when I was on my third loop. So the run went well. Again, I didn't push too hard, but when I felt good, I went with it. And when I started to feel down, I just tried to focus on my form and focus on what I was doing at that moment in time. And I think I had a pretty good day. Sweet. That was long-winded.